Hi everyone, Kelly Western here with a video for how to do some yoga practice for sciatic pain. And a lot of us deal with sciatic pain. I had my own episode that lasted several months and it can be really painful. So there are some things that you can do to try to calm the nerve down. So the sciatic nerve is a nerve you probably know that goes through the spine, through the pelvis, and it goes in between the SI joint, which is the sacrum and the pelvis. The movement there, that's a joint, and so it goes right through that joint and then down your leg and all the way down into your foot. So you could feel pain anywhere along that side that it travels, and it usually comes from a bulging disc or a compressed disc pushing on that nerve. But you might feel pain in your hip, in your glute, in your back, in your thigh, in your knee, in your foot. For me, my foot went to sleep for a while, a couple weeks. So it's no fun. It can hurt to stand, it can hurt to sit, it can hurt to lie down. So let's get rid of it. And a yoga practice is a really good way. However, two things you need to know. The first thing is you never want to push into pain that's pinchy or burning. And those are your nerve signals telling you to back off. And the second thing you need to know is that your nervous system is really smart. It's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you from damaging your soft tissues. And so your nervous system is going to give you lots of signals if it thinks that you even might go there to hurt yourself. And it kind of learns that you tend to ignore it. So you have to train your nervous system to understand that you're listening. And your direct connection to your nervous system is your breath. And so if you can take some deep breaths and feel the breath helping you to relax, since the nervous system is in control of the breath in normal circumstances, so we don't have to think about it. If you get tense, you're feeling stressed, your breath might change in response to that. You might be ready to, run or clench up or something like that. And so what we want to do is take over the breath and tell the nervous system we're okay. We're not going to hurt ourselves by moving. We're not going to pick up that big thing and twist at the same time, and ruin our discs. But the nervous system doesn't trust us. So when we do this practice, the biggest, most important thing is to do some deep breathing and really feel in your body a letting go. At the same time, you can have some imagery around the muscles relaxing, the body relaxing, the nerves that are all fiery and red and irritated cooling off. So I want you to come back to that imagery. Hopefully I'll remember to remind you. Another thing that's really good is to start with rolling tight muscles out. So the nerves are the ones that are firing and telling us that we're in pain, but they're also keeping our muscles clenched, locked. For a while when I had sciatica, I was sort of twisted and I couldn't move this direction. So I know you have probably experienced these things. The lacrosse ball is a great one to do to get some really deep tissue massage in there. But it can be really painful for some people. So you might want to start with a foam roller. And so I'll show you just a couple things that you can do before we get started on our yoga practice. And I would suggest doing this at the beginning. And that way your yoga stretches will be a little bit more reinforced, easier. I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but I know you know it, and I'm going to remember after this video is done. Maybe I'll put it anyway. So here's where we can start. Put your lacrosse ball, if you have one, underneath the meaty part of your glute somewhere in your hip, probably where you feel that big pain. For a while, I just wanted to pull my whole glute off of my body because it was so painful. So just kind of roll around without putting your whole weight in. So my weight is in my hands. And then if the lacrosse ball is too much, The foam roller works almost as well, I would say, probably just as well if you can relax into it. And you would just roll back and forth and sort of move around until you find that sweet spot that's not really that sweet. It's more like bitter. It kind of hurts. So just sort of stretch it out. Stretch it out is not the right word. Roll it out. Like I said, I feel I get a lot more out of the lacrosse ball. Here's the next stage. You could put it just kind of on the edge and then do that figure 4 stretch and sort of lean into it and lean out of it and just move the ball around. You can kind of see I'm just moving it around until I feel I've got that spot. Remember to do that nice deep breathing. Imagine, get a little image in your mind of the muscles that are really tight and they're just softening up. And then usually people with sciatic pain have a lot of tightness in their hamstrings and their hips. So you can do the same kind of thing with a lacrosse ball with your hamstrings. It's a little bit harder because it's so small. And so you can just sort of like move around. I've crossed my ankles and I like to go across the hamstrings left and right with the ball. So I just lift my hips up and kind of like I'm strumming a guitar because it does feel like guitar strings in there. It feels really tight. So that might work for you. You can go up and down, just keep moving the ball around. So if you're doing this while I'm doing it, you can always pause and take more time. But remember that breath, try to relax. Some people roll for a lot longer. I find that even just doing it for a few minutes makes a big difference. Some people like the foam roller a lot better for the hamstring stretch. It's quite a bit easier, as in to get the whole hamstring, and sometimes I feel I get a lot more rolled out. So cross the legs for extra credit, or you can keep your one foot on the ground. And see, I just have my hips off the ground the whole time. Flex your foot and squeeze your quad to help encourage the length in the back of the leg. So that's all I'm going to do right now because I want to get into the yoga stretches. But you can certainly do the same thing, rolling on the quad on the other side, and you can try to get the lacrosse ball into your hips, kind of lying on it when you're on the floor on your belly. So let's get started on our yoga practice. We're going to start on the back. Before you get on your back, you might want to grab a towel or a blanket and just roll up the end of it just a little bit for support for your neck. You're going to put it on the ground at the top of your mat. And then as you lie back, try to get that little roll right underneath your neck. At the same time, I want you to have your head sort of sinking into the ground and get yourself really comfortable. Knees are bent, feet on the ground. And so this is called constructive rest. This is a great one to stay in for 5 minutes. If you spend a lot of time sitting, it's a good way to let your back just as sort of, you can imagine the vertebrae when you sit all day, or if you walk a lot, it just compresses throughout the day. So this is a great practice to do at night or in the evening. And just imagine your spine is starting to get some length. And what I really want you to focus on is with every exhale, relax the muscles of your hips. Relax the muscles in your thighs. Feel heavy in your feet. Let the back relax down, extend long. Soften down behind the heart, across the shoulders. Feel the shoulders melting away from the ears. Relax your jaw and your throat and your face. And just let yourself experience relaxation. Sciatic pain can have a lot to do with stress and a feeling of fear, of uncertainty, of the ground sort of coming out from underneath you. Can have a lot to do with our home life, or how secure we feel in our base. So feel your feet on the ground. Remember they're your feet. Remember that you're resilient, but that your body can't take, all of the stress. Sometimes you have to give it the break that it needs. So here it is. This is your time to give your body the break. The nervous system is giving you the signal, hey, it's been enough. We need to settle. We need to chill. And then I want you to bring the breath down into the belly. So belly breath is a really great way to bring yourself into the rest and digest sort of state of being. So we can be in fight or flight, can be in a state of stress, which can be good. We're getting stuff done, moving through our day, got lots of energy and power. But then we have to always take the time to transition into a rest and digest. Time to restore, time to relax. So breathe into your belly. This also encourages digestion. As your belly inflates, the diaphragm pushes down, the intestines, the stomach, everything here gets kind of massaged. So this will help aid in digestion and sort of moving the food through your body, which is a good thing. Don't want that food to get stuck in there. Maybe take a few big inhales, exhale out your mouth. And if you're finding like, okay, can we just move it on to the stretches? That's a good thing to notice, Are you not enjoying a time of rest? Maybe we need to work on that a little. This isn't very long, so try to enjoy this little time that you're giving yourself. Because the more you can enjoy it, the more you can really relax, all the benefits are going to just really help you feel better. Okay, from here we will move on. And I want you to take that headrest out of the way. Unless when you put your head back down to the ground, it just really feels like you're here. Okay, then you might need a little bit more support for a while. But we do want to get the head down to the ground eventually and feel all of this relaxing. So the next thing is pelvic tilts. We got to loosen up that lower back. And remember, first rule is don't push into any pinching. So press the lower back into the ground, tilt the tailbone. You're going to engage those stomach muscles. Oh, tight stomach muscles, very nice. And then arch your back, press the tailbone into the ground, and you should be able to put your hands underneath your lower back. Your shoulders are still on the ground, your tailbone is pushing into the ground. Sometimes I really like this feeling. I sort of like push a little harder, and I get that really good arch to my lower back. And it feels a little bit like a stretch, even though it's an arch. And then we'll do the other side. So tuck the tailbone. This is where people usually get the pinch. So just be careful. If you get the pinch, just go back off. So do this about 5 more times. Exhale, squeeze the stomach muscles, press that lower back into the ground, tuck the tailbone. Inhale, arch the back, push that tailbone into the ground. And then what I'm thinking here is that the discs are getting a little bit of synovial fluid every time we do this, and they're kind of plumping up. The space between the vertebrae are starting to extend out because we're starting to stretch the muscles in the back and getting the stomach muscles to kind of help out. All right, this time when we sort of start to arch the back, I want you, actually, I said that wrong. When you tuck the tailbone, what I want you to do is just continue up, lift the hips all the way. Try to get your shoulders and your hips and your knees in line. And your feet should be underneath your knees. Hopefully mine are. Tuck your shoulder blades under. And then just keep pushing your feet down. Squeeze the glutes, not with your hands, but with your muscles, with those glute muscles. And tuck your tailbone so you lengthen the lower back. Relax the shoulders, relax the face, and breathe a few big breaths into the belly. Of course, if this pinches or it feels kind of scary, oh, it might hurt my back, then just go gentler. Don't go up very much. Remember, we're trying to trick the nervous system. So tuck the tailbone, round the spine back down into the ground. We're trying to trick it into knowing, hey, this is okay. This feels okay. So if it freaks out and gives you a little pinch, just back off. You're like, oh, oops, sorry. Didn't mean to do that. So pull your knees in and kind of rock left and right here. Notice the breath is just like a nice, relaxed inhale and exhale. Every once in a while, I have to do a sigh because generally sciatic pain is kind of, remember, having to do with us kind of holding, a little bit fearful, worried. Now let that energy go. So let's do the bridge again. Tuck the tailbone, lift the hips up, tuck your shoulders underneath, maybe interlace the fingers if you can. Press the feet into the ground, engage the glute muscles, and lengthen the lower back. If you do this pretty well and you have tight hip flexors, you might feel a stretch in the top of the hips. Big belly breath. Everything's gonna be okay. Everything is good. Breathing that nourishing breath into your body. Release your hands, open your shoulders, round your spine back into the ground. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. You're here for yourself. You don't need to be afraid of anything. You're resilient. You're strong. You got this, right? Whatever's coming your way, you're strong enough to get through it. All right, let's put our feet back down onto the ground. Lift your hips one last time. Tuck your shoulders underneath. So if the bridge pose is not working for you, just like, I'm not ready for that. Just keep doing the pelvic tilts and do hugging those knees into the chest. That's a really nice combo. So we've got the back bend, squeeze the glutes, tuck the tailbone a little bit, breathe into the belly. We have the spinal roll. There's our pelvic tilt there. And then knees into the chest. And then just be intuitive about it. If you want to rock left and right, or you want to pull your head toward your knees, that feels really good as well. All right. Then we'll come up onto our hands and knees. Please be very careful. If you have sciatic pain, you want to go to your side and round yourself up very gently using your hands. All right. From here, we're going to do a few cat-cow. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Inhale, arch your back. As you notice, we're doing the pelvic tilts again. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale, arch. This can also pinch people's backs. Mostly it's this movement that does it. But I find that when it's not pinching, it feels kind of nice to stretch left and right here a little bit. And again, flow with the breath. Take nice deep breaths. Close your eyes and imagine the spine just loosening up. So if it is sciatica that has to do with a disc bulging, you want to create some space in between those vertebrae so that the disc can come back in. Hopefully that can happen. I'm just making it up. I don't know. Maybe it can't, but if it can't, then you need to learn how to chill your nervous system out so that you can live with, any compression there. And now let's take the knees wide and the big toes touching. Push the hips to the heels, stretch the hands forward, and rest down to the ground, forehead on the ground. This one isn't always accessible to everyone, so just modify. Maybe your hips are still up, but what we want to do is stretch the back muscles. So I want you to really reach your hands forward. Sometimes I see people doing this and their arms are still kind of like this. So get high onto your fingertips, walk your fingers like as if you're holding on to the edge of a cliff and you're tractioning your back, You know how you would do that on an edge of a cliff? I don't know what I was thinking. But just hold on there, and your hips are so heavy and they're hanging.
I don't know how you can keep this position when you're hanging from a cliff, but you're magical, so you can do it. And just kind of rock a little left and right on your hips. And breathe really big into your rib cage. Expand the rib cage. Expand those back muscles. See if you can stretch them long. 5 more really big breaths. And if you feel tight or it feels like it's not really working for you, just maybe come in and out. Give yourself a break. Anything that, feels good. Another thing you can try is, instead of hanging off that cliff, push the cliff away from you. Push your hands into the mat, down and forward, and round out your back a little bit. But breathe into it. So feel the breath coming into your body and extending your stretch. And the exhales are where we give in. Okay. And we'll come back up onto our hands and knees, and we'll transition to standing. And the way we're going to do that is by taking a wide-legged V. Now, if you're having acute pain, a lot of pinching and pain, you're going to have to be really careful here. Here's what I would look like if I was in a lot of pain. I would keep my knees really bent. I might even have my hands here and just kind of try to extend my back long. If you can go down to the block, just keep the weight in your hands, and all we're trying to do here is stretch the legs out so that we do some standing poses. It's gonna hopefully not be too much compression on our back. So get those inner thighs a little stretched out, left and right. I'm just keeping my back nice and straight here. Still with those big, long breaths. Everything is okay. I'm just breathing in, telling my nervous system, oh yeah, this is cool. This is all good. Nothing hurts here. Hopefully it doesn't. Just trying to let those legs relax. And then we'll roll up to standing. So be real careful. Turn your heels in and your toes out. Put your hands on your thighs, and you're going to roll up. So tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone, inhale, go so slowly, and then once you're standing, we'll do a few more stretches. Okay, so standing. I find this is one of the best things for me when I'm having sciatic pain, to sort of get out of it and also build some more strength around my hips, and also to loosen them up at the same time. So we're going to take a lunge, and that means your right foot is forward and your left foot is back. Make sure that your feet are on their own rails, not in one line. You're not trying to do a balance routine here. It will be a balance, but so the important part here is to create some strength in your glutes to support this area here. You don't want all the strength and tightness to be in your hip flexors. You want to balance it with your glutes. So I'm on my back toes, so my heel is off the ground, and at times people will have sort of their foot in or in a strange position, kind of all the way down. Sometimes that's just because you're trying to help yourself balance. Put your hands on your hips, tuck your tailbone down, try to get that heel right above the toes in line. Not above the toes like that, sorry, but you're pushing back. And then pull your belly in, engage those stomach muscles. You're going to feel the stretch in your hip flexors on the front of your left thigh, right there. That's where we want to feel it. Now you can stay here, but if you're ready to build some strength, bend your back knee and then straighten it and squeeze your glutes. Same time, keep your belly in. Exhale, bend your knee. Inhale, squeeze your glutes. So you're pushing the leg out nice and straight and getting this nice and strong. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. So go for, what was that, about 3? We'll do 7 more. Exhale, inhale. And I really started with 6 of these when I was building up my strength when I had sciatica. So you just take your time, listen to your body. 2 more. Exhale, inhale. Or you could just be holding this like here for the stretch here. Tucking the tailbone down towards the ground, pulling the belly in, feeling the stretch. Turn to the left to come out, and then we'll switch sides. So left foot forward, Right foot back, take your time getting into it. Make sure your heel and your toes are in line. Hands to the hips, tuck the tailbone down, pull the belly in. Keep your chin tucked a little bit and feel length in the back of the neck. That's important as well. And if you want to do the knee glute strengthening, well, it's not knee strengthening. It does kind of strengthen the thigh. But exhale, bend, inhale, straighten. You have to really think about squeezing that glute, because you could do this and really the glute doesn't work. So think about it so you get some strength in that glute. 5 more. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Is that 5? I don't know, 1 more. And then we'll step out of that. Okay, great. Let's get back down onto the ground. Okay, so this first one that we'll do back down on the ground is called lizard lunge. You're going to take your right foot forward and use a block or something that you can lift yourself up a little higher on. And then I want you to have your back knee not over underneath your hip. I want it to be back further. So see how far you can take it back. Now you might just be kind of gripping and holding on here, and that's okay. A lot of people kind of start with that. Please feel free to take this foot, which most people usually do, turn it out a little, turn the knee out. It's going to give you a little bit more space. You can certainly keep it straight. It's going to feel a little bit more compression in the inside of your hip, which you might want to avoid. And then see about kind of leaning forward, but stretching this front hip. And I like to do this 2 different ways. I can lift up and get a little back bend. Now see about squeezing your glutes and how that sort of pulls the pelvis together and encourages some support in your pelvis. Breathe a nice relaxing breath. Remember, we're not trying to rip our legs apart here. We're doing a nice lizard lunge. It's very, it's very gentle, even though it feels very intense. The next stage is to come down onto your forearms, and then some people who are, a lot more flexible will be able to get down on the ground with your forearms down. But it doesn't really matter how far you go, just as long as you have this stretch in your hips. I like to kind of rock left and right here as well. So as long as it doesn't hurt your knee, you can kind of sway left and right. And what I'm trying to do is get this whole front of this hip kind of moving a little bit, stretching in all different directions. And a very extreme thing that you can do here, if you're pretty well practiced at yoga and you know how to take this back foot in and you know it's not going to hurt you, that would be a good thing to do too, because tight quads is also, a symptom or something that causes sciatica. Probably not a symptom, a cause. So let's get out of this and do the other side, but just take your time on your hands and knees for a moment to get your body kind of equalized. Left foot goes forward first, and then see about bringing the back knee back a little further and sink down. You can come all the way up into like a little back bend, and just so what you're doing is you're breathing and you're feeling your body. Where do you feel the stretch? And what is it telling you to do? Does it want you to kind of move around? Does it want you to sink down a little bit more? Can you imagine these hips just relaxing? Squeeze the glutes a little bit and see if that helps support you in this. If you think you can catch that back foot, go for it. But it's a really hard thing, to do. So if you're coming up and you're tensing everything and you're just forcing anything, it's not going to be good. You're going to be doing the opposite thing that you want to do. You want to just relax in your body, help your body release this tension that it's holding. even if your sciatic pain is from a compressed disc, you can think about it as that if you're holding tension, your body is going to be clamping. And so if we can relax the tension and let go, then we can let our bodies unclamp, unravel, unwind. And so hopefully that will create space that your body needs. And if nothing else, it will help chill the nervous system out. It will help cool down those nerves, which is what really needs to happen. Okay, we're going to swing the legs around the front and sit back on your sit bones with your feet on the ground. This one I like to call seated cat-cow. So when you do, let's see, this is the cat. So you're going to round your shoulders forward and push your middle back towards the ground. Tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin. There's your exhale. Inhale, arch your back. I've got my hands facing, my fingertips facing my sit bones, which is a nice way to stretch the wrists and the forearms as well. Lift the chest, lift the chin a little, really arch that lower back. Big inhale, feel the stretch across the chest. And either move with your breath, exhale, rounding, inhale, arching. Or you can stay in one of these and kind of enjoy it. I like to go left and right in my cat and really think about those long back muscles that get really tight. And then inhale and breathe up into the chest. You don't have a lot of movement here, but you can breathe and hold. So nice. Okay. And then we have our figure four stretch seated. Now I'll show you how to do this on the back. Probably you already know how to do it, but I think seated is just a little bit more intense. So left foot goes on top of the right thigh. Keep your foot flexed. It's going to keep all of this tight so we hopefully don't hurt our knee. If you feel tension in your knee, you got to back off. Start to walk your chest towards your shin. And lift up nice and tall. You can move this leg in as well. And just see how close you can get your leg. And I like to rock my legs left and right. And again, it's just sort of like pulling in a rocking manner. I'm not bouncing. I'm not forcing it. I'm just like breathing with it, moving with it. If you wanted to really torture yourself, just kidding. Oh, my ball is so far away. You could stick the lacrosse ball here and do the same thing, kind of like what I said in the beginning. And then the modification is to do this on your back in the figure four stretch, like so. And then some people, this is just way too much also. So you could leave your foot on the ground, you can push your knee away and just sort of stay like this. And then you can start to creep, the leg towards you. But this is the big stretch that you want to get usually when you have sciatic pain. So this is a super important stretch. And you might want to do it several times a day. You can definitely do this one in bed before you go to sleep. Okay, then we'll do the other side. Right ankle on top of the left thigh. Flex your foot. Move your chest towards your shin. Move your leg in. Breathe. Imagine that tight hip just relaxing, softening the nerves. You know that sound when you put a match in water? I always think about that when I try to think about my nerves cooling off. That psst. Oh, relief. All right, just a few more yoga poses to do, and just think about the ones that you might want to do on a daily basis. Pick 3 or 4, or even just 2 or 3, or even start with those lunges. I started doing those right after I brush my teeth in the morning and at night, and so twice a day. Anytime you can put a rhythm, or well, a rhythm is one thing, but a pattern into your day, follow a rhythm. So let's see about downward facing dog here. And if downward facing dog doesn't work for you, try happy puppy or child's pose again. So downward facing dog, what you want to do is press your chest towards your legs and keep your back really strong. So we're long. So we're stretching the back
out again. And also stretching the hamstrings, so push the heels towards the ground and try to tilt your tailbone up toward the ceiling so you get a nice stretch in your legs. If you're feeling this in your lower back, what you need to do is bend your knees a lot, like maybe 90-degree angle bend. Stick your butt into the air and then stretch your back long, and then just stay there. Don't worry about the legs. I want you to have the length in your back first. You can even try some cat-cows here, rounding and arching, or we could call it pelvic tilts, rounding and arching, or sway left and right. Just keep getting length in that back. Try to extend your spine by 1 more inch. You're going to be 1 more inch taller after this. And then relax down. We're going to go all the way down into the belly, so take your time coming down. And then this little back bend is really good for back pain, usually, but always you have to listen to your body first. So keep the tailbone tucked down. On your inhale, you're going to lift up. On your exhale, come down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Now I'm probably lifting my chin too much, so keep your chin tucked a little bit. Let's do 3 more. Rest if needed. Last one. Very good. And then come on up. See about how your back feels. You're going to have to shake out that back bend. So left and right, up and down. Maybe just kind of take this any way that you want. And then we'll move into child's pose again. Stretch your hands forward as far as you can go. Breathe into your back. Imagine your back relaxing. Let's get our minds into that lower back and feel it extending long. Then think about the hips and relax in the hips. Great. So we'll come on up, swing the legs around. We've got 1 more thing to do. Actually, 2 more things to do. This is a seated twist, and it should feel pretty good to that outside of the hip again. So pull your right knee in, cross it over your left leg, lift up nice and tall. See about how much you can pull this leg in, and then your left arm is going to hug the knee. The more you hug that knee in, the more you're going to feel here. And then just be super gentle on your twist. I want you to get more of a hip stretch than a twist. So what I want you to think about is pushing the sit bones down, reaching the top of your head, or even like the back of your head a little bit towards the ceiling. And breathe into your belly and see if you can feel a pull in your hip. One more big breath. And then we'll go to the center and do the other side. Left leg crosses over the right leg. Tuck that leg in. Lift up nice and tall. And then this right arm is going to cross around the left leg, and the left hand goes anywhere to support you. Press your sit bones down. Lift the top of your head taller. Pull your knee in towards your chest. Breathe into your belly. Inhale back to center. So we'll end with a Shavasana, which is our final resting pose. You can do the constructive rest that we did at the beginning with the rolled up blanket if you want, or you can try something called legs up the wall. And I like to have a little pillow for my head. I'm not going to spend the time rolling it up because it's a little bit hard to keep the roll and get my neck,
with the legs up the wall. So the way you do the legs up the wall is get right next to a wall. You could also do legs up a chair, but this is going to give you a better hamstring stretch. And then lie down, swing your legs up, and then swing your whole body around. You want to get your hips as close to the wall as you can. Far away from the wall is not going to be any good. And then you could just slide the blanket underneath your head. If you find this is hard to hold your legs up here, sometimes taking a strap and then making a loop with your strap. Maybe like about a foot, about a foot long with your loop. A foot long loop. Sounds like those subs. And then put it around your legs. And then tighten it up and just let your legs kind of be wide, and that will help hold your legs up. You can be here for 5 or 10 minutes, probably if you don't do something like this very often. Start with 1 or 2 minutes. Sometimes my legs go to sleep. Sometimes I get a really warm feeling in my belly, so just notice what happens to you. And remind yourself that you're doing this as a self-care routine, right? Your body is like a machine and it needs to be taken care of. And so this is your time for self-care. Feel your hips heavy into the ground. Feel that sacrum just sinking down like maybe it's a concrete brick and it's so heavy. And the pelvis has a chance to relax and sort of spread out. Tops of the thighs and the hip flexors are relaxed. The heart is relaxed and soft. The shoulders melt down to the ground. The back of the neck softens down toward the ground. The jaw hangs off of the hinge. The eyes are soft. The mind is quiet. And if you feel a sense of relief, you can tap into a feeling of no pain. Like, can you go somewhere in your mind where you just feel completely pain-free and relaxed and content? And also so resourceful and strong because you have your breath. And your breath can always settle you. Your breath is the friend that you can come back to and breathe. Breathe with that breath. Breathe with a feeling of contentment and ease. Everything is easy right now. And please just stay here as long as you want. It's such a nice way to relax. Hopefully you made it to the end of yoga class. And so just enjoy it. When you're ready to move on, make sure you come out of this nice and gently. Roll to your side. Maybe take a few moments on your side and feel some gratitude for your body. And whatever else you want to feel grateful for. And then slowly sit yourself up and move with ease back into your day or your evening. And just remember this feeling of softening and expanding instead of contracting and holding and worrying and fearing. So it's an expansion, it's a softening, it's a letting go, but also feeling firm feet on the ground. And let that sciatica just cool down. So I hope that helps you. Try to practice that every day, or at least take a few practices. Just giving your body some attention and allowing it to relax is going to do wonders. So I hope that you come back for more. And peace and namaste to you.